Hocus Pocus is a 1993 American dark fantasy comedy horror film directed by Kenny Ortega and written by Neil Cuthbert and Mick Garris. The film stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, with Omri Katz, Thora Birch, and Vinessa Shaw in supporting roles. The film follows a villainous comedic trio of witches who are inadvertently resurrected by a teenage boy in Salem, Massachusetts, on Halloween night. The film was released in the United States on July 16, 1993, by Walt Disney Pictures. The film received mixed reviews from film critics at the time of its release. It was not a critical or commercial success upon its release, possibly losing Disney around $16.5 million during its theatrical run. However, largely through annual airings on Disney Channel and Freeform, formerly ABC Family, Hocus Pocus has been rediscovered by audiences, resulting in a yearly spike in home video sales of the film every Halloween Season 3, that has helped make it a cult classic. 4-5. A sequel, directed by Adam Shankman, is in development as a Disney Plus original film, with a screenplay written by Jen D'Angelo. 6-7. On October 31, 1693, in Salem, Massachusetts, Thackeray Binks witnesses his little sister, Emily, being whisked away to the woods by the Sanderson sisters, three witches named Winifred, Sarah, and Mary. At their cottage, the witches cast a spell on Emily to absorb her youth and regain their own, killing her in the process. Thackeray confronts the witches, but is transformed into a black cat cursed with immortality. Suddenly, the townsfolk, led by Thackeray's friend, Elijah, and Binks's father, immediately arrest the sisters and sentence them to be hanged for the murder of Thackeray and Emily. Before their execution, Winifred casts a spell that will resurrect the sisters during a full moon on All Hallows' Eve when any virgin lights the black flame candle. Thackeray decides to guard the cottage to ensure no one summons the witches. 3 centuries later, Max Dennison is feeling unsettled from his family's sudden move from Los Angeles, California, to Salem. On Halloween, Max takes his younger sister Dani out trick-or-treating, where they meet Max's new crush Allison. In an effort to impress Allison, Max invites her to show him the Sanderson house to convince him the witches were real. Inside the Sanderson cottage, now a former museum, Max lights the black flame candle and inadvertently resurrects the witches due to his virginity. The witches attempt to suck the soul of Dani, but Max comes to her rescue. Escaping, Max steals Winifred's spellbook on advice from Thackeray, who now goes by his last name of Binks. The witches pursue them to an old cemetery, where Winifred raises her unfaithful lover Billy Butcherson as a zombie to chase them on foot. The witches try to acclimate to the 20th century, but are horrified when they discover Halloween has become a festival of disguises. They pursue the children across town using Mary's enhanced sense of smell. Max, Dani, and Allison find their parents at the City Hall Halloween party, where Winifred enchants the partygoers to dance until they die. At Jacob Bailey High School, the children trap the witches in a kiln to burn them alive. While the children are celebrating, the witch's curse revives them again. Not realizing the witches have survived, Max and Allison open the spellbook intending to reverse the spell on Binks. The open spellbook reveals the location of the group, and the witches track them down, kidnap Dani and Binks, and recover the grimoire. Sarah uses her siren-like song to entice Salem's children, luring them to the Sanderson cottage. Max and Allison rescue Dani and Binks by tricking the witches into believing that sunrise was an hour early. Back at the cemetery, the group is ambushed by Billy, who then takes Max's knife, cuts open his stitched-up mouth, and insults Winifred. Therefore joining Max, Allison, Dani and Binks against the witches. The witches attack, and Winifred attempts to use the last vial of potion to suck the soul from Dani. Binks leaps on Winifred and knocks the potion out of her hand. Max drinks the potion, forcing the witches to take him instead of Dani. The sun starts to rise just as Winifred is about to finish draining Max's life force, and due to standing on hallowed ground in the cemetery, she turns into stone. As the sun finishes rising above the horizon, Mary and Sarah are disintegrated into dust along with Winifred's stone body. With the witches gone, Max, Dani, and Allison say goodbye to Billy, as he returns to his grave. Binks finally dies, freeing his soul. Appearing as a spirit, Binks thanks the group for their help and bids farewell to them as he is reunited with the spirit of Emily. The exhausted partygoers, including Max and Danny's parents, oblivious to their enchantment, are freed when the spell is broken. Meanwhile, at the Sandersons' cottage, Ice and Jay, who previously tormented Max and Danny, remain imprisoned in cages and sing row, row, row your boat to pass the time. Winnie's spellbook is seen opening its eye, revealing it is still alive and the witches could possibly return again. In the 1994 TV documentary Hocus Pocus, Begin the Magic, and on the film's Blu-ray release, producer David Kirshner said he came up with the idea for the film one night. He and his young daughter were sitting outside and his neighbor's black cat strayed by. Kirshner invented a tale of how the cat was once a boy who was changed into a feline 300 years ago by 3 witches.